Hi guys, this is Ask Me Mom and Teacher by Maya. I'm coming to you today to give you an interview from a father of a child who has autism. And guess what? This particular father is my husband. I'm so
How you guys
happy.
doing today?
I'm so happy that he decided to join me. So we're gonna go straight into the questions and go from there. I did get a few questions from my um, Facebook fans and some of my Instagram fans. So I'm gonna add those to the list. All right. First question: is there a moment that you can remember that you felt that your son had autism, that there was a concern and you wanted to check on it?
Well, at the time I didn't even know anything about autism. I think the time that I became a little disturbed was when we was living in Maryland, and Christian and I was walking from the restaurant. We walked down to the restaurant, and on our way back, a motorcycle came by, and he just lost it. And everything I tried, it wouldn't calm him down. And I couldn't understand. I'm like, it's just a motorcycle. I mean, he was pulling and tugging all on me, and wanted me to embrace him even more than what I was already embracing him, because I was carrying him.
He grabbed onto you.
Yeah, he was
Rather
just,
tight.
yeah, so I knew something was going on, because I've been around other babies that weren't scared of motorcycles, but his reaction is he was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
And another time is when we bought the George of the Jungle.
Yeah.
The George of the Jungle.
Well, actually, that was a gift.
There was a yeah, the George of the Jungle stuffed animal,
Mm-hmm.
and he was when I presented it to him, and he was terrified. He started fighting it.
He thought that as soon as he saw the eyes on the George um, stuffed animal, he just started punching and he was kicking
Yeah,
and fighting
he
like
just
it was
started fighting.
attacking him. We was
Yeah.
like, oh no, it's a toy. He didn't want anything to do with it. He
So
didn't want it.
of course, we got rid of it.
Yeah.
Right after that. So that's when I started being concerned. And also another time when I was playing with him and jumping in my lap. And,
Yeah, because he loved it.
yeah, and we put on the that program.
Mm-hmm.
It was a program, a little cartoon or a little show that came on. We had it on a computer, and the face was still, but then it had
Oh yeah, I remember that.
human eyes
The
and
babies
mouth.
were talking. There was like it wasn't Teletubbies, but it was another animated video for kids where there was a sun face and a moon face
Yes.
that had an actual person's
Yes.
face on it, and he
Yes.
did not like that.
Yeah, he just was
He was
terrified.
like,
and
I don't want
just
any part of
yelling and
that.
screaming, and kept looking back at it, and then
Yeah.
the more he looked back, the more he was terrified and getting upset, and I knew something was wrong.
You're like, why is he so upset? I was like, I
Yeah.
don't know, but he
So-
doesn't like it. He
Yeah.
would show how he would look at
Yeah,
it.
he was just looking, and he kept looking back at
And we
it,
were like, why is he
and I was like,
continuing
yeah,
to torture himself by
Yes.
looking at it? But we now know that that's OCD,
yes.
that he continues to repeat things over and over again. All right, so do you think Christian was a happy baby?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He loved to play, especially, hide and go seek.
Yes, that was his
favorite.
favorite thing. I remember that.
Yeah, the hide and go seek, and pretty much he was a big bundle of joy. He was
Yeah.
just,
I agree.
all over the house, and then because he was advancing so fast,
Yeah, he was.
which I was amazed, because he knew numbers that we hadn't taught him. He never. One thing about Christian is that, of course, he never crawled.
Yeah.
He went straight from sliding off of the sofa to hanging on things to walking.
Yeah.
So I knew something was. I was like, wow, he is just
Yeah, he
moving
took
so
steps
fast.
extremely early.
Yes,
Yeah.
7 months.
He was 7 months old when
7
he
months
started taking
walking.
steps, and
Yeah.
all of our friends, our coworkers, were thinking that we were crazy. We're like, our son is walking. They're like, wait a minute, didn't you just have that baby? And he took a video, and his friend saw it. And she had two sons, but she noticed even on Christian's video,
Yes.
as Christian was walking, he would cough. Every step he took, he would cough. And I don't know if that could have been a sign that there was some OCD then, that because repetitively did, because he didn't have a cold.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah.
he thought, I think he felt like if he coughed,
That we'll check up on him.
or no, I think he thought that the coughing actually had something to do with him walking.
You think so?
I do. And I think
Yeah.
that
She's like, why is he faking like he's coughing? I was like, I don't know. It's just him.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we didn't realize it at the time, but she had already had 2 sons, and they were big boys. But she noticed that. She's like, "Well, great, he's walking at 7 months, but why is he coughing as he's walking?" Which was kind of funny. But okay, so we just talked about the 7-month walking thing, because my next question that I was going to ask, somebody asked was, you know, did he follow the CDC child development chart? Did you seem like did you feel that he was on target?
I actually felt like he was way above the target, because Christian was, like I said, he was doing stuff that other babies weren't doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like he was above. That's why when we really thought about, when you came to me,
Yeah.
like, you know, honey, something is wrong with Christian. We need to get him checked out. And it really didn't dawn on me until he shut down and stopped talking.
Yeah.
That's when it really hit me that, wow,
There's something going
something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, at the time, I was worried, but I wasn't as worried as you know, a lot of parents are.
Right.
You know, I had you. Then, you know, we had
My
your
mother.
mom.
Yeah, my mom was
Yeah,
was
so
very
you know,
knowledgeable.
she's, you know, yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess for me, I really wasn't.
Weren't concerned.
Yeah, I was concerned, but I wasn't like worried like some parents.
Yeah.
Some parents just go, oh God, I don't know, you know. Now, I guess the only time that I did get worried about Christian was, you know, when he got older. I was worried about him making friends.
Yeah, that's still a concern for me.
Yeah, I was worried about him being able to be independent.
Yeah.
So that was a main concern for me. But of course, you know, we've
kind of grown
bust
through
our
that.
butt and worked hard.
Yeah, we did.
And we've taught him independence.
Yeah.
And we've taught him how to make friends.
Yeah.
So he knows how
He
to
does.
make.
He
Yeah, he
makes
does
friends
good. Know how to
fairly
make
easy.
friends.
Yeah.
And a lot of people love him.
Yeah, they
You
do.
know.
Because they know he's genuine.
Yeah.
He tells you, sometimes I'm like, okay, that's too much. But he tells you exactly how he feels. And so I'm going to just try to take us back to, you know, like, you know, at 15 months, when he really stopped talking, you know, how did we feel? You know, because I felt one way. And I know you kind of touched on it. And you was like, well, you know, he stopped talking. How did you really feel about that time? Did you?
Like I said, that's when I was really concerned. Like, what's going on? Why isn't he talking?
What did your concern feel like? Because a lot of parents want to know, you know, because they're going through it, and it's a stage of grief. Because you and I went through it differently, as mom and father. So I know what I think you felt like, but I don't really know.
Well, my thing is this: if Christian never talked from the beginning,
right,
then I probably would have been, you know, really worried.
Right.
But he was talking.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, he just, he stopped. Yeah, he stopped talking. So I was worried, but I wasn't worried to the point where I was about to go crazy, because I knew my son could talk.
Yeah, and see, that was the difference between you and I both, and I think it's because I had seen, you know, being my career, I understood, like, oh, is it ever going to come back, or how do I address it? And I knew how to address it. I still went through a very strong stage of mourning. And you remember how I spent a lot of time holding him and
crying,
praying. I did a lot of crying and praying. Which, I mean, I know all that helped, because had I not gone through that stage, then I would be totally different. And you held us down at that time, because he was the strong one. He was like, well, you know, he's not talking, we're just gonna help him talk. I was like, yeah, I know that. And I was I didn't mean to be rude, but that's just how I felt at that time.
It was rough. It was a rough period of time.
Yeah. And you know, from what the doctor, okay, let me get to the diagnosis. Okay, so we took him to the doctor on that particular day to get the diagnosis, you know, because everybody was like, well, I think he has it. And there was only two doctors at that time that we could take him to. And this particular doctor was like one of the best in
the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so her wait list was 2 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know who got us in, but I called and somebody called somebody and somebody called somebody else, and she got us in within like 2 months. And they were like, "Can you come at this?" I was like, "I can come." I was working that day. I was like, I can come. I'll make arrangements for me to for us to attend. And I was pregnant with Christopher. I was pregnant with our second baby, and my husband and I. Did my mom go with us, or was it just us?
No, she went with us.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
she went with us.
That lets you know how that date was for us. So
because remember I went and sat in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you tell us about that? Because I'm doing more talking than you. I want to be quiet for a moment.
Well, when we took him to the doctor, I think there was like 6 doctors in there with him, and they were giving him all these tests. And the problem was Christian didn't want to disappoint me, so I pretty much made him nervous because he was basically struggling in things that I know that he already knew.
Right.
And it was only because I was there.
Wow. And so our picture that day is totally different.
Yeah. And so the doctor felt like I was coaching him.
Now I remember the doctor looking at you.
She kept looking at me.
She looked at you.
And I'm like, I'm not coaching him.
Yeah, and because at that time Christian, now he stopped talking at 15 months. Now mind you, when we went to see the doctor at 19 months, he was speaking. He was again speaking in sentences. And he was reading books. She was pulling books off the shelf. He was reading them, and the walls were made out of like the blocks for like how schools are made. They made out of those those blocks. And so there was a block wall, and he started counting the blocks. And Christian could count, and he would not stop. And we knew he would not stop. And he was like, okay, we were trying to distract him. And like I said, that was one of those OCD things that he was just once he starts counting, and he was counting all the blocks and started counting the little things on the ceilings. And so she was watching us to see if we were coaching. I didn't know that. I didn't know
she was watching me.
I just thought
because
she
remember when I left, she felt like I was coaching him.
Yeah, and you told me that later. Now I remember.
Yeah,
I forgot all about this.
So I left. I went on the left because they were pissing me off.
You were frustrated.
I was frustrated because of the fact that they had 6 doctors in there.
And everybody was like, "Well, what's wrong?"
Yeah, and
it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I'm like, is all these he don't know you guys, and then you guys are asking him all these questions, and I think by then it was like we had been in there like 2 hours.
No, when you left out, I think we had been in there 3 because it was a 5-hour day.
Yeah, I know it was long.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, it got to the point where I was getting very frustrated. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna leave. And then once I left, that's when Christian started. He was able to relax. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, to me he was the same. I told you that.
It was totally different.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
Because remember when I left, that's when he really started. He really started going through the tests and started doing his thing because the stress of having me in there because he didn't want to get anything wrong.
Okay.
So once I left, then it was he started really.
Yeah, because I didn't say anything. I was like, y'all figure out what's going on. Like, I was staring at them the whole time. Like, can y'all tell me what's wrong with my kid?
Yeah. So I went and sat in the car and waited, and that's when finally a couple hours later you guys came out.
Do you realize that the hospital? I mean, the doctor's office was closed.
Yeah, I know that.
It was pretty much closed. The doctor walked me out to my car, to the car with me being pregnant. I was really, I wasn't too big pregnant, but I was, Christopher was a big baby, but yeah. So we walked out to the car together, and you guys talked. I don't know, did y'all talk for a minute?
No, I didn't say anything to her.
Oh yeah, because you were still upset, and then you were
like, I was upset. I didn't say anything.
What did she say? And it all boils down to the fact that they watched Christian, and they observed him more. And I was sitting there, and I was like, well, they started talking amongst themselves. Then they told me, they was like, well, we don't see why you're here, but we can't find anything wrong with him. And then the doctor had something in her hand. I said, okay, well, if she had something in her hand, and I gave her something else. I said, well, give him this.
Yeah, but she did say, she's like, he is a genius.
That's what she said. And that's what all the doctors had told me before.
They were like, he is a genius.
He's a genius. I don't see anything
because
wrong.
He was, like, at 15 months, he was doing stuff that kids in kindergarten.
Yeah,
do.
And he was reading, and she could ask him. She was asking him questions about the book that he was reading, and he was answering the questions, which is, as a teacher, comprehension is a difficult, because sometimes it can be a difficult skill to teach. But the way he was answering those questions, like no one coached him, because they were never, these were books he had never read before. They were in her office, and so she was like, oh, okay, so there's something going. He's just smart, and I was like, no, there's something else going on. Please help me. And to the point where I was almost in tears. I was like, I said, give this to him, and I said, tell him to give that to his mom. And when she gave him the book or whatever it was, I can't even remember what it was. I believe it was a book.
It was a book.
And yeah, because I remember telling you. And he went across the room, and he walked up to one of the other doctors, and he said, here you go, Mom. And
Yes.
the tears just started rolling down my face. And then the doctor, everybody just like, the room just went like silent, because they were all talking. It was like, and they looked at me, and the main doctor, the developmental specialist, the one, pediatric specialist, she looked at me and she was like,
That's
okay,
when she knew.
I'll be right back. And she left out of the room, and then she tallied up all the things that they had for him, and she came back to me with a packet of things that she had gone over with him that day, and the final thing that she had circled was autism.
No, she had high functioning.
She did. And that's why I never say how you and I so different, because I won't say that. I won't say high functioning.
Because she
did.
She had Asperger's.
She had Asperger's.
Yeah, high functioning. Because see, back then, Asperger's wasn't on the autism spectrum.
No, it was separate. According to
DSM-4.
DSM-4.
Yeah, they changed it years later.
Yeah, that's been like 2 years now. DSM-5.
Yeah, they changed it years later.
Yeah, so now everything that falls up under the up under autism are like PDD, NOS, and pervasive developmental disorder, disability. All those things fall right up under sensory disorder. All those things kind of fall right up under the autism umbrella, including Asperger's. So I just, to limit, the broadness of it, I just say autism. Yeah, that's what I say for for me. But
I still say Asperger's.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I mean, it doesn't bother you, because we know our son.
Yeah.
So now we talked about a diagnosis. All right. So now let's talk about these services that he received when he was in home, because at the time he was seeing a Babies Can't Wait in Georgia. He had a speech pathologist that would come by to see him. Do you remember her?
Yeah, but
Miss Becky.
I really don't consider her a speech pathologist.
Okay, well,
because she didn't go over anything when it came to language. All she did was listen to him read and play puzzles with him.
And that's where we differ, because
So,
wait, don't say it, because he's gonna say something that we all crack up about now. Because I love this woman, I love her. Her name was Miss Becky, and I love Miss Becky to this day. Miss Becky, because Christian was reading at the time, and he was academically ahead. When she'd come, her puzzles would have the names of the object. It would have the name of the item inside. So then he would say, "Oh, rabbit," and he would pick up the actual piece rabbit and put it in the space, instead of him actually trying to find it and maneuver it with his hands. So that was a problem for Christian and for my husband. And so one day, what did you say?
I was like, I told my wife,
I was frustrated.
I'm tired of her. She was like, well, we have to get ready. Miss Becky is coming over. I'm like, why is she always coming over here? I'm like, she don't do anything but play puzzles with him.
I said, well, she better bring her puzzle plan over here and
do
play these puzzles, because that's her job.
Yeah, and I was pissed off.
And we just burst out
we just laughing.
And so that lets you know the frustration that we felt as parents, and we were still, we love Miss Becky, because we never disrespected Miss Becky when she was in our home. It's just the fact that we just were frustrated with the position that Christian was in, and we didn't see any drastic growth, which is what normally happens when a child's on the spectrum. So, but that's just our funny story. We love to say that.
I'm like, I can play puzzles with him.
She better bring her puzzle plan over here and help him play with these puzzles. We just burst out into laughter.
She getting paid to play with him with puzzles, and she just pissed me off. I just didn't like that. I was expecting more.
Yeah, I don't know if you can say piss on YouTube.
Yes, you can.
Okay, all right, we're gonna let that be. So, all right, friends. Okay, so let me ask you this. Now, we worked through that, and we transitioned from the early intervention within the home and the private services, which we went to maybe 2 OT appointments, but due to our schedule, but because of my pregnancy, I was so sick. I missed so many days of work at that time, And with depression of my son, I was just dreading, just to day tasks. So, but it was a difficult time. And soon after that, we transitioned into an IEP, from an IFSP to an IEP. Do you remember what that was like for him to go to school?
It was some fun times.
Mm-hmm.
He my son, Christian actually did well in school because he was way ahead of his peers.
Mm-hmm.
So when it came to the academics, Christian did great. But because of the fact that Christian was ahead of everybody else academically,
Yeah.
he acted out a little
His
bit.
behavior was
His
atrocious.
behavior was off the chain.
He was awful.
So I was constantly getting phone calls
Yes.
from the teachers
Yes.
about his behavior.
Yes, they didn't call me because I was working. They
Yeah.
knew. I mean, I worked
Yeah.
within that district, but my
Yes.
husband was available
Yes.
to attend to this situation.
I was at home. I'm a disabled vet, and I was at home, so
Yeah.
I was and I had the other. By this time,
By
we
this time.
had Christopher, our second child, and we had Krista, our daughter.
Yes. So that's why I just
And
kept
she was a
popping
baby.
babies.
And she was a baby.
Yeah,
and
she
I
was
was
like 5 months old.
constantly when they called me, I'm like, trying to take care of the other two. Then I'm trying to get him straight.
Yeah.
And so it was rough. And but I could see a lot of growth from him being able to go and be around other kids.
Yes.
Before it was Christian can be beside another child doing his own thing,
Right.
and the other child doing their own thing. But in Christian's mind, he's thinking that we're playing together.
Right.
But
Parallel play.
yeah, you guys are not playing together. So it taught him how to play with other kids
That
and
really
things like
gets
that.
me, yeah.
And then when, of course, we started having issues when he got in kindergarten because the teachers there wasn't prepared for Christian. They didn't have any other children that was like
him.
Christian. He was way ahead of the other kindergartners.
Yeah.
He was doing second grade work by this time.
Yeah, he was.
And so he was getting into a lot of
A lot of
trouble.
trouble because his mouth
Yes.
and his behavior was awful.
Yes, Christian could say, because he says whatever is on his mind,
Yeah.
he has no filter.
Nope.
And so he was just doing his thing. So finally we decided, they started treating him differently.
Yeah.
So I just, I couldn't take it. Nobody's going to treat my child wrong.
Okay.
So I just said, no, we're going to homeschool him.
I see you looking at me like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm okay. I don't work
Because
there.
I know you was
Work
up,
there anyway.
yeah. So I said, you know what, we're gonna
As a
take
teacher,
him.
there's some
Yeah.
things that I was saying, some things I won't.
Me, I don't care.
That he's
I don't
there.
work
So that's
for
why
them.
his
I
point of view
never worked
today.
for them, so I don't care. They don't pay my bills. So it is what it is, the
Yes.
truth.
Mhm.
So I pulled him out and I homeschooled him.
Yeah.
Up until the second grade.
Yeah. I would pull the packets, and he would do homeschool during the daytime, and my son would get a chance to play games and be on. And you taught him how to play. What was the game with the Skylanders? So he
Yeah.
was a big Skylanders fanatic
Yeah.
at that time. And then when I would come home, then I would go over different things and review and go over math skills and all that kind of stuff. So we were a tag team pretty
Yeah.
much with that. But for the full day, my husband did that with my son from K through second grade, which was amazing.
Yeah. And then we decided to move
Yeah.
from Georgia, and then we came out here to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And then I went back to work.
Yeah.
And then Christian went to school.
Yeah.
And he did well. He
did well.
He was able to transition on the different subjects because that was a problem that we had initially is when it's time to go to the
Move
next
forward.
subject.
Yeah, because he has his thing. Like I said, the OCD part of his disability, he has to finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so by then he knew how to transition from different subjects, which made him successful in school.
Yeah.
So then he went to the fourth grade.
Yeah.
In which he had a great teacher.
Yeah.
And he
Oh my gosh.
flourished even more.
Yeah.
His teacher, she didn't play.
Yeah.
And she had high expectations
Yes, she
for
did.
him. And by the end of the year, when it was time for them to do
I
their
was trying to remember her name. I don't know why.
test, Mr. Jesus.
Mr. Jesus.
When it was time for them to do their testing, Christian scored. I mean, his test scores.
His test scores
was
are
like,
off the chart. He's like in 94 percentile
but
of
from
the children in the
from the
nation.
3rd grade to the 4th grade,
It skyrocketed. He went from like he was already ahead in math,
yeah,
but his language arts wasn't there, so he leveled off right at above for language arts and right at above from way above in math. Like
math he scored
he
in
blew
the
it out.
94 percentile in the entire
the whole
country
Yeah,
for
yeah, for
kids in his grade
his
level.
peers, no,
His peers, yeah,
his peers is that.
and that's in the entire country.
Yeah,
So and then
Based on his test.
in the 5th grade he did even better, which he had a great teacher.
yeah,
Then,
yeah,
besides his organization skills,
yeah.
Christian is doing
And
fine.
it's
And it's lying.
I don't know, this new thing with
Organization
lying.
school
Oh my
and
God.
lying.
Okay, yeah, because we got to get onto it.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is that because his teacher was so nice.
Yes.
I mean, his teacher did not play. And that's one thing I want to say because we live in Nevada and we understand where Nevada falls on the chart for education. Yeah. We have been very blessed to have the most substantial, educated, devoted teachers
Yeah.
for all 3 of our children. I haven't met any teacher for our children that's been
All of them have been perfect teachers.
Yeah, I'm gonna say perfect because they were able to deal with me.
Yeah.
And we're not easy parents
Yeah.
to deal with, and they're wonderful because they're like, okay, how is she gonna act today, or how is he gonna act today? Because sometimes I'm upset. That's a part of me being an autism parent,
Yeah.
or you, because you are worse than me.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, okay.
Well, let me give you guys some background. I was military. Then I got out of the military. My goal was to go to medical school. That was my ultimate goal. Then we had, Christian. Then we started having, the issues with Christian. So it kind of got put on the back burner. So I then started learning everything I could about, autism, Asperger's. I did my own research. I learned everything I could so that I would know what to do. And then I experimented on quite a few things.
And I'm like, that's
we
not
debate,
true. I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah, and we debated and experimented, and we bumped heads on
sometimes
how we
still
should
today.
handle certain things, and until eventually we got on the same path.
Right.
And so it got to the point where I started substituting for my wife in her class.
Yeah.
In her autism class.
Yeah.
It got to the point where
Yeah.
I pretty much I was the only sub for her
me.
class.
So like one day, for instance, I'm sorry to cut you off, but one day for sure I was sick and I just rolled over and I hit him on the shoulder. I said, I need you to be me today.
Yeah.
You remember that?
And I got up,
he
got
dressed,
and went in and subbed for her
He
class.
subbed my class.
And so, because I never wanted to teach special ed, I was science, biology and chemistry. That's the subjects I like to teach.
Right.
So it got to the point where I would be the only person subbing for my wife's class.
That was dependable because if I say, look, because it's hard to find a sub. We teachers know that. We're calling. We might get sick 7 o'clock. We don't feel sick till that 7 o'clock, but we should have called the night before.
Yeah.
But at that moment, I'm like, honey, I don't feel well. Can you please? I'm throwing up. I don't feel well. Can you be me today?
Yeah.
So then,
and everybody can't handle those types of
situations.
children.
I have to say situations.
A lot of people can't handle them.
And the parents love me.
Yes, and the parents love me. So then, I also started. I did resource for 1 year, because I knew how to write IEPs. It's just because some of the things changed over the years. I just had to learn some of the new things. I knew how to do the IEP meetings and things of that nature. So. I did resource and, help other children, that have special needs and things of that nature. So we basically became the sped couple.
I don't know.
And we was at the same school.
They were the Smiths.
Yeah, they were the Smiths. We was at the same
and
school.
our kids, they're Smith clan.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so it's when it comes to being a parent. I know I can't speak for my wife because I'm not a mom, I'm a dad. So when it comes to being a parent, you guys have to work together. There's no one side in this. A single parent, I've done IEP meetings with single parents, and they are about to go crazy.
It's hard for
A lot of
the
the, especially for the dads, a lot of dads
who are doing it too by
don't,
themselves.
yeah, they doing it by themselves. But then you have a lot of dads who don't want to accept the fact that something is wrong with their sons. That right there, you need to get over that. You need to get the mindset that my goal as a father is to make sure that my son can go out here in society, or daughter, and be productive. Me, myself, growing up in the South, I know I have my own issues as being a black man growing up in the South. Then, not to mention, now I have 2 black boys that I am raising, and both of them are actually on the spectrum, but we've only had one of them diagnosed.
Okay.
So let me clarify that.
No, it's okay, because I've already talked about it. We know both of them on the.
Yeah.
We just
So
worry about the one that's more.
So yeah. So I know I don't want my son going out here in this society already being a black man, and then on top of it having Asperger's and those social concerns, social awkwardness and irregularities or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
I didn't want my son to go out here unarmed. Let me say that, mentally unarmed. So I made up in my mind that I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he's prepared. And so I make sure that he understands every type of situation there is. We try to use everything we can as an opportunity to teach our son.
Yeah. And what I can say about that is just, once again, it's going back to setting up that environment. And we can't set up all the environments. Yeah. So we actually give them a situation of what ifs, if this happens, how do you respond to that? And see, one thing for us is we know that he'll be going to middle school next year. And the problem with that for me is that all 3 of my kids have been with me on my campus, or in the school district that I'm in since they've been going to school.
And so now he's
they won't be with school. Neither one of them will be with me this year.
And then Kristen is going off, by herself, which we already know middle school is
a whole new animal.
Yes. And so the good thing about it is he's going to a math and science academy, and a lot of the kids are like him.
Yes.
So, and they don't play.
Yeah,
it is the hardest school in the district.
Yeah.
And
I'm nervous. But
it's one of the best middle schools in the country. So I'm thankful for that. It's a magnet school, so I'm thankful for that. Yeah. But the best advice I can give any dad is, do not be dependent on anybody teaching your child. Educate yourself, sacrifice, spend as much time as you can trying to teach them social skills, whatever it takes. So now that he's getting, he's moving a little further up, I can kind of sit back a little bit and focus on some of the things that I want to do, and I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, Dad has his point of view, and I have mine, and that's the whole point of our marriage. And your father, you have your. You know what? You brought up a quick thing. I need for you to touch on this, because we both say that our second child is on the spectrum, but we never got him diagnosed. Can you explain how you knew or you found out that your second child was on the spectrum, and how did we fight through it so that we just never, he never got diagnosed?
Christopher, the thing about Christopher is, when it comes to social skills, certain things, he is absolutely clueless. When I tell you, he is clueless.
We love our child.
Yeah, we love him.
Because he asked. He's like, I was just laughing because you guys.
Yeah, he'll laugh.
Which is funny. I'm like,
for no reason. It's just little things. He's sitting there like, oh my God. It's just like, he don't get it. You can tell him a joke and it just absolutely goes completely over his head.
But his answer is, okay, so how does that work? How does that make sense?
Yes.
And so what has he been practicing on this summer? He's been practicing on making what? He's practicing on making jokes.
Yes.
He did that himself. We didn't teach him that.
Yes.
He realized that he had a concern, and he went and he figured out.
Christopher will He asks a million questions. Now, don't get me wrong, my daughter, she is a questionnaire. I call her the questionnaire because that's what she is. She asks questions about everything. Christopher, when it comes to social, he don't get anything. You pretty much have to explain every single thing to him. And so that's pretty much, that's how I know. I'm like, oh my God, he is clueless. He don't understand this. He don't understand that.
So when did this happen? When did you realize this? Was it when he was a baby? I mean, like,
No, I realized this school year.
So wait a minute. So, but we.
No,
we,
before
Yeah. How did you find
I
this
knew
out for parents because they want. They might, yeah.
when he was when my daughter was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when Christopher was a baby,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't want to touch. He wouldn't laugh. No matter what we did to him, Christopher would not laugh. Christian is the only person that can get Christopher to laugh.
Yeah.
We did everything.
We play with him.
Play
we run
with,
around, we
do
tickle.
everything. Nothing. He just
he
like he works for the queen.
Yeah.
And he's standing out on his post.
On guard.
Like he's a sentry.
Yes.
And he's standing out on his post.
And we can be playing.
Yes, we can do
whatnot.
everything, and he will not laugh.
No.
But Christian can walk in the room, and he just busts out laughing, and just laughing and giggling.
For no reason.
Christian, no matter what Christian do, he just busts out laughing.
Christian can jump.
Yes, he just busts out
and
and
just start laughing. Yeah.
And so, which I know, I was like, well, okay, but that still didn't dawn on me. I still was like, but this past school, when Krista came, and then he didn't. Before Krista came, he only wanted to deal with me.
Yes.
Christopher only wanted to deal with me. He didn't even want to deal with mom.
He did not
the only
like
time
me.
he wanted to deal with mom is when it's time to get breastfed.
Yes, I was his bottle.
Yes,
and
that's
that was it. That's the only reason he wanted to be in my lap.
He didn't want to go over nobody else's house. He'd be over
but
somebody's house.
He let other people hold him.
He'd be over somebody's house for 30 minutes. He cried. He ready to go home.
He's ready to go home.
So
and he put himself on his own schedule.
He got his
at 9 o'clock.
He went to sleep no matter what.
He would cry
unless he was in bed.
In his bed.
Yes.
We could put him to sleep anywhere, but he had to be in his bed at 9 o'clock.
At 9 o'clock.
And it'd be funny because we could look at our watches and the clock on the wall, and it'd be right at 9 o'clock.
Him and Christian was night and day. Because we actually thought something was wrong with him. Because Christian never slept. We were up like zombies walking Christian. Yeah. Trying to do everything we can to get him to sleep. It was just, then Christopher come, and now it is at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like clockwork. So we thought something was wrong with him. We would get up and go check up. I said, let's go check up on him. Something wrong with him. We would go in to check up on him, check his breathing.
He was too perfect.
Yes, we just thought something was wrong.
Baby. He was so sweet. He did everything, and he still is that way. He wants to make sure everything is right.
Yes.
We want to say that's the middle child syndrome. Yes. I'm not a middle child. I'm the youngest. But I have a lot of foster brothers and sisters. If y'all out there, I love y'all. But my husband is the baby. So we are babies of 2 kids. So we don't know anything about the middle child syndrome. But our child, we was like, maybe this is a middle child syndrome. Yes. And poor
I'm the baby on my mom's side. But on my dad's side, I'm actually the oldest.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I'm actually the oldest.
That's right. Well, my parents, they were married. And they had both of us. So I'm the baby of them. So.
Yes. I was raised by my mom and stepdad. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, to go back to what you were saying, not to piggyback, go back to what we were talking about. I this past school year, Christopher, he made some decisions that were completely
unrealistic,
crazy. So that's when I really knew. I was like, yes.
So we have one child that'll lie, and then we have one that can't lie.
Yes.
And we're like, okay.
Yes.
There's some times that you don't have to tell the truth.
Yes. Like, and then when he did lie, he would lie about stupid stuff, which that's normal for every child. But we were like, you're lying about stupid stuff.
The only reason they get in trouble is for lying.
Yes.
You know,
and see, Christopher,
everything
and
else
also,
is typical. We just like, okay, it's typical. But
Christopher wants everything fair.
Yeah.
He is. All of his teachers say he's the perfect student.
Yeah.
He does nothing wrong. He does his schoolwork. He is.
Yeah. He's really hard on himself.
He's hard on himself.
Perfectionist.
So he's always mad and angry for no reason. We call him the angry black man.
Angry black man.
He's already angry, and I'm like, I don't understand why you're angry. You're not paying bills.
No.
You You don't have to take care of family. You don't have to get up and go to work.
No. You can do what you pretty much want.
Yeah, you do what you want.
Why
are you angry? But that's just him. He's just angry man. So, which we are working with him on that to try to get him to break that. Yeah, we got to get him to calm down.
He's calmed down a lot.
Yeah, he's calming down a lot. So it was just little things that I noticed beforehand. not dealing with Christian, I probably would have never noticed.
Right.
But now, I
Having
consider
noticed that.
myself
You want to say expert?
just below. Just I'm gonna say
He thinks
just.
he's the
I'm gonna
expert.
say just below expert. Just below expert. She's the expert. She knows her stuff. She knows her stuff. So just below expert.
I train everybody.
Yeah.
I train the parents.
Yeah.
I train everybody. Okay, yes. Okay, go ahead.
So
Then I step back and let you blossom.
yeah. So now it's
Where my children walk around in the house?
you know.
Okay.
So now we thought about getting him diagnosed, but we decided, you know what, we're gonna let it flow and let it go for now. If we see any issues in the future, then we probably will. But he's doing good academically, and it's just socially. He's more social, awkward than Christian is. So we'll probably
I thought I had my headset on.
we'll probably
We'll
see how this school year
Yeah.
goes. Anything else?
I think you touched on. We pretty much ran through all the questions that I'm looking at. I think you hit on all the questions. I don't have anything additional to add to.
Well, the only thing I can say is
What about working? I mean, like you hit on working together as a team. Like, you want to talk about the how to overcome the struggles in your marriage when you have to deal with that, and how to deal with other people and family members and friends, because we've lost a lot of family members.
we lost a lot of family members,
and
a
friends
lot of friends
because
we
they don't
are
understand.
very protective.
Sorry,
We're very protective of our kids.
We are
Very.
nice
And so, you know, there's already an issue in society with kids, you know, getting abused by family members, friends of the family, and things of that nature. So we are very protective.
regarded.
So the thing I can say is we have to be.
Mhm.
You know, we know that society is not going to be protective of our kids, and we try to teach our kids that. But as far as our home, we have to be. That's our job as parents, to be protective of our kids.
Yes.
So we're now loosening the cords a little bit and giving them some room to make mistakes, to get in trouble and things of that nature. So as a parent, I think at the time when I was doing my research, they said 95% of, no, it was 93%. 93% of couples that are married that have a child with autism end in divorce.
And that was at that time.
Yes.
That was like 2008.
Yes,
Yeah.
2008, 2009. So I made it.
We were worried. We were like, "Oh my God!" Because I didn't say anything to him, but I was like, "Oh Lord, here we go. Let me figure out." Mentally, I didn't realize I was doing this, but I was planning this life.
Yeah.
That I was gonna have to do things by myself. That I was gonna have to be the mom. But there were struggles, but we worked through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I made up my mind that I wasn't going to leave my wife. No matter how bad things got, I wasn't gonna leave my wife to deal with the situation by herself. One, I love the hell out of my wife. So that's first and foremost. Two, I love the hell out of my kids. So I'm not going to abandon my kids and then leave them to have to go out here in this world and deal with the issues that we have to deal with out here in this world.
Okay, well now that you say that, okay, so what if the family is broken apart? How can, because you counseled families before.
You have to work.
Can you explain how does the dad work with that family or work with the mom to support her? Because it's really hard. There are a lot of single moms out there doing this, but it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, I say that with a tear in my throat because I'm trying not to do that, but
as a man, you got to see, let me explain something to you. There's a difference between a man taking care of his child and his child is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Your child is normal. You taking care of your child. Okay, cool. You know, when I hear people,
typical.
I hear people, taking care of my child. Okay, whatever. Whoop-de-doo. It's a different story when you have a child with autism
or any type of disability.
Any type of disability.
Or health.
It's to the 10th power. On every situation is to the 10th power. So you have to, as a man, you're going to have to step up, regardless of how you feel about this woman. You're going to have to step in there and you're going to have to take care of the situation. You're gonna have to take that stress off of her. You're gonna have to help her with teaching, with disciplining this child, with especially with teaching this child. You have to do it, because if you don't, you'll lose your child, and then you're gonna completely set them up for failure. Then society and life is gonna eat them up. They're gonna get out here and be totally confused about everything. They're not going to understand when somebody is mad at them. They're not going to understand in how to notice. They're not going to understand how to notice that they are awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what typical behavior is. So that even if they're doing, like for our son, we call it awkward behavior because that's our kid. But if they're doing a behavior that is not not regular. Thank you.
Irregularities.
Yeah. And that's fine if they're doing that. But if they see someone that is aggressive or someone that doesn't like them, they need to be able to understand it. This person, there is danger there. This person is saying this to me. I may be in a situation where I need to move or get away from this person.
It's emotional intelligence.
Yes.
They need to have emotional intelligence.
Thank you for saying
And I helped my son with the show that we used to watch, that show Lie to Me. That show I love that show because it teaches a lot on facial expressions, how to recognize different emotions in this in the face.
Mm-hmm. And it's actual people, so you're like, okay,
through the micro expressions of the face. Mm-hmm. And all of the micro expressions is universal. So no matter what country you're from, no matter what nationality you are, we all have the same micro expressions because we have we all have the same muscles in our face.
That's language.
So unless you are injecting yourself with Botox, you're going to make the same micro expressions that everybody else make when you're mad, when you're upset, when you're angry, when you're happy, when you're depressed. You know, no matter what the situation, we all use the same micro expressions and we all make the same facial expressions. So you need, as a father, you need to be able to teach your child these things. You need to be able to teach your child respect, how to respect the opposite gender. As a man, you need to be able to teach your boys, that have disabilities, how to respect females, and vice versa when it comes to teaching them, the girls.
Yeah.
Because the problem with a lot of kids that have special needs and autism, they don't understand there's a boundary between how you treat a female, how you treat a female or how you treat a male. Because a lot of girls with autism, they have a tendency to be very
we'll just say kind.
I was going to say promiscuous with the opposite sex, because
it's not true. I'm going to tell you that's not. So here we go. That's not true. Studies have shown. I'm going to tell you because I know I'm going to show you and I read this in my book, and this is something that I'll be teaching this year. Studies have shown that people who have a disability are the most likely to be. They are susceptible to predators.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. I thought, but you used the word promiscuous. You making it seem like it was her fault. And I was like,
no, what I'm saying is they,
I know they get in those situations.
Yes, that's all I'm saying.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not that they're instigating it. Not that they're going out.
It's not their fault.
They're not going out. Say, this. But I'm just saying, they end up in those situations.
Yeah, because they are susceptible to predators.
Predators.
Because at that time they don't quite understand the difference, and then that's something that we're learning now. Now I will show you the article, and I'll bring it up to our viewers later. And then you brought up, I'm going to bring these things. You brought up emotional intelligence. You brought up the sexual behavior of individuals, which I can bring up tomorrow as well, because we'll talk about behavior. But is there anything else you want to add, Dad?
No, you have to work. You have to fight for your kids. If you don't fight for your kids, nobody else is. Do not depend on the system to do it. Do not depend on teachers to do it. You have to do it yourself. Don't take advice from family members. If they don't have any experience in it, tell them to go. Because see, they're trying to give you their point of view from raising a typical child. Their point of view from raising a typical child does not matter. unless the parent is
Like my mom.
has a child with special needs, or that's raised kids with special needs or something like that,
And worked,
or work with kids
adults and children.
If they don't have that experience,
Yeah.
there's nothing they can say to you. And don't worry about people being judgmental to how you raise your child. You have to raise your child. They don't have to. They're not going to be there when the issues and problems arise. They're not going to be there. Only you're going to be there. Nobody was there when we were going to Walmart and it's time to leave the cash register. And
he's about to take the money machine.
He's trying to take the
card
machine.
Yeah, take the card machine
and
with him.
He's yelling and screaming and acting a fool because he don't want to leave the grocery store because here it is. He had issue with transitions.
And he loved those numbers. So when we got there, we had to set up a situation where we distract him.
Yeah, and then I would get a balloon or something, or get something, and then I would pick him up.
Yeah, we actually set up those situations.
And I would pick him up, and I will walk out of the grocery store.
Take the kids with him. And
take the kids while she's finished paying for the groceries and things of that nature. So, you have to do, those are things that you have to do, and don't worry about anybody else saying, oh, well, you didn't do this.
Look how she's doing with that kid. What is she doing to that kid?
Yes. And
excuse me.
And I'm just gonna tell you, you cannot be lenient on your child. You cannot give in. Do not give in. You have to be the parent. You are not their friend. My child is not my friend. I'm his dad. He's my son. Period. And that's with all my kids. And so when they get up in age and they are, an adult and they have their own family, then we can still, we can be friends.
Can I say this real quick?
Yes.
There is I love to watch, I'm a YouTuber and I love YouTube. There is this one lady on YouTube, Tracey Hensel. She said that you have to train yourself out of a job.
Yeah.
And our goal is to train our kids so that by that time we can step back and say, you're an adult, we're here to catch you when you fall, but, these are the steps you got to take to get there.
So you're a child. I mean, you are an adult with a child. You're going to be a parent for the rest of your life.
Yeah, right.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So even when they turn 18, you're still their parent. You don't wait till they turn 18 and then you just like, oh, well, you don't know. When they turn 21, you don't say, oh, well, you're grown. Yeah. You'll turn 21. No.
I still call my mom.
Yes. I don't care what age my child is. If they want to come back home, if they need anything, they need help, I'm going to be there to help them. Yeah. Dads, you need to work with the mom, no matter what. Whatever the situation is, try to get over it. Work with her.
That's true.
As long as she's trying to work with you. That's all I can say. If she's not trying to work with you, then
it may be some other steps that you guys need to take.
Yes, there's some other steps, but if she's open and trying to work with you, you got to do it. You got to. I'm sorry. A lot of times I put off hanging out with the fellas.
You do give up a lot.
Yeah, a lot of times like I said, by now I thought I would be finishing med school.
Yeah.
Now I am.
And I have my doctor.
Yeah. So now I am actually.
I'm working out.
I started setting up myself so I can start studying for the MCAT and try to take the MCAT the end of next year. That's my goal, is to take the MCAT the end of next year so I can get into med school. But you have to, you got to give up some things. It is what it is. No matter what age you are, you can always accomplish and achieve your goals. So
that's right.
No matter, I think my chemistry, it was my biochemistry professor. Yeah. My biochemistry professor. No, it was my chemistry professor. Mm-hmm. At that time, he was I had a biochemistry professor. He was up in age. I think it was like 70 something and some change. He was a retired pharmacist. Mm-hmm. And this is the funny thing is, because I went back to school after I got out of the military, and I was, older than a lot of other kids in the class, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna be in my 40s when I go to med school. Mm-hmm. So he was like, he looked at me and laughed. Yeah. He was like, I was 65 when I went to med school. He was like, he had been a pharmacist for like 30 plus years. Then he retired. Then he said,
Give
you
us
know
a
what?
second.
I'm going to go to med school.
Okay, baby.
So he was 65 when he went to med school. And he went to med school, got out of med school, and he became a doctor. And he did that for like, I think 10, 15 years. Then he retired. Then he became a professor.
Yeah.
So he was like, he's like, I wish I would have went to med school at, you know, in my 40s. I went at 65. So you are never
Not
too
doing
old
that.
to go after your goals.
No, you're not.
So plus 40 is the new 30. So
It is.
you know,
I
hey,
mean, hey.
I still feel good. You know,
Me too.
so all I can say is work with your wife,
Work
Work
with your
with
mate.
your
Work with your partner.
partner,
Work with the mother or
the
father of the
mother,
child.
yeah, father of your child. You guys have to work together. You guys have to invest in your child's future. We spent a lot of money.
Money we don't have anymore.
Money we didn't have.
Money we don't have
spent
anymore.
We spent it on our child. We had 2 storage facilities full of educational things. Our garage, one side of our garage is even now is full of nothing but educational
Stuff.
things.
And because that we learned to do his therapies at home,
Yeah.
and because it was financially we could not do it, so we had to learn how to do it. But if you have insurance to go to get your child therapy, use it.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have it, but for us, he doesn't fall in that category. He doesn't quite fall in the categories of small kind of all kind of stuff.
You know, and all I can
Small
say
stuff.
is, you know, with the help of my mother-in-law, and especially my wife, and by the grace of God and prayers, our son is doing great. He's in all gen ed classes. The only thing he has on his IP is for like social and organizational skills and things of that nature. But other than that, he's doing fine.
Yeah.
And if we can do it,
Yeah.
you guys can do it.
It's a lot of work.
Yes.
And when my parents meet us,
Yes.
my students, so I say our students because he subs for me,
Yes.
when they come in and they're like, well, and they tell me all these problems that they have for their kid, and I say, well, our son is on the spectrum, because like the first day of school, like parent night, I take my husband so we can like introduce ourselves so they can see, and by that time my child comes in, I'm like, oh, this is our son is on the spectrum, and I let them know that we haven't seen a behavior yet. I kid you not, I have had a lot of students, and we both had a lot of students in our pre-K classroom, in my pre-K classroom that he subbed in, that they had difficult behaviors, and then he would say, I don't remember our son doing that. I was like, our son was worse. So
Yeah. I was like, I don't remember my son being
he's like,
like
he didn't
that.
do that. I was like,
Which, he was, but now I'm like, how he is now, it was so traumatic. You know how when you go through a traumatic experience that you don't remember.
Yeah, it was
That's
traumatic.
how it was, but I don't remember. I'm like, I don't remember him being like that. Yeah, I'm like, I don't remember my son being. He's like, yeah, honey, yes he was.
So that's why I just love my babies, and I'm like, oh, Mom, and I explained to Mom, this is a transition. We just have to teach them through this, baby. We have to work through this behavior because they're experiencing stuff, and as they're going through that behavior, they're going to transition and get a new behavior. We just have to model that behavior till it becomes, the goal behavior, and they only know because they see it. They have to see the behavior, and you have to reward them immediately for the things that they do good. And I'm sorry, mouse man. We have to reward them more than you are negative toward them. So you say, no, you're always nagging, and no, and that doesn't work. So, do more praise than you do discipline and arguing. Limit the use of your voice when it's negative. When you have to say, don't do that, just like, try this.
To positively reinforce your kids as much as possible.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'm so glad you guys got a chance to hear the husband point of view. And I couldn't do this without you.
I hate being on camera.
Yeah, he hates being on camera. I darn near had to pull him by his toenails.
I gotta lose weight. You know what I'm saying?
We both do. So.
I'm a little fluffy, so
we're gonna show you a picture at the beginning. You probably see a picture of us when we were thinner.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But that's
I'm
life.
working on getting my weight down. So
yeah.
Anyway, you guys have a great day. I'm hoping that we help somebody out with this.
Yeah.
So.
And we love you.
We love you guys. Goodbye.
Bye bye.